This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, friends, last presentation. Many were zocheh to daven at the Zera Shimshon yesterday. For those who won't have the opportunity on this trip, so pay close attention to a few words we're going to say about the Zera Shimshon, and then you could be mispalel. Then the merit of his divrei Torah, all of our tefillah should be niskabel. We mentioned yesterday that if you can't go to a matzeva, the divrei Torah of a tzaddik are like the matzeva. So I want to share with you a few words about a great Rav who was Marbitz Torah in Pisa and in other communities. His name was Reb Shimshon Chaim, or sometimes he's referred to as, the Chida refers to him as Rabbeinu Shimshon Nachmani, and he was known for a sefer Zera Shimshon. The Chida describes Zera Shimshon as Biurim Ma'amorim Tmuim, explaining wondrous passages. Rabbeinu Shimshon Nachmani, he was a Talmud of Hagoyin Marino Ephraim Hakoyin My Oistra, who wrote, by the way, this Rabbi Ephraim Hakoyin wrote a sefer on Kabbalah Masis, and the Zera Shimshon was also a Talmud of, listen to this name, Rabbeinu Aviad Sar Shalom Bazila. Rabbeinu Aviad Sar Shalom Bazila, who was one of the most ardent defenders of the Ramchal. So the Zera Shimshon was a student of one of the Ramchal's great defenders. The Chida says about Rabbi Aviad Sar Shalom Bazila. Actually, in the drasha I gave this year before Rosh Hashanah to the Cleveland community via Zoom, I quoted Rabbi Aviad Sar Shalom Bazila. And actually, Rabbi Aviad Sar Shalom Bazila, quoted by Rabbi Shmuel Heller, asked a very interesting question. Why is it that first in Navi, Menashe is that Chizkiyahu HaMelech is not mentioned, and then later on in Divrei Hayamim, Chizkiyahu HaMelech makes a comeback. And basically Rabbi Aviad Sar Shalom says that if a person brought to the world progeny that did not act properly in their lifetime, so even if they themselves were a tzaddik, but they're accountable for the deeds of their progeny. But later on in Divrei Hayamim, after Menashe already did Shuvah, now Chizkiah is allowed back and considered a righteous person. That's Rabbi Aviad Sar Shalom Bazila. Chida writes about him, he was a philosopher. He was the Avbezin of Mantoba. Listen to this, Rabbi Aviad said, Kol hachachmois lamadati b'meshach 10 shanim, that he learned all disciplines in the course of 10 years. Biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics. However, Ach chachmas haTalmud nar hoyisi gam zakanti yagati v'loy matzasi kiyim shemetz minayhu. That he learned all disciplines in the world in 10 years. But to crack Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, Baba Basra, he, after many decades, he feels he's only understood a semblance of Talmud Bavli, because Talmud Bavli is considered the most elevated, sophisticated, complex of all wisdoms. The Zera Shimshon was a great anav. He writes in the Hakdama, Af ki erki ke'erech hedyoid shebehedyoitim kal shebekalim. He says, my worth, my value is of a simpleton, of a lowly person. He was Marbitz Torah in Modena, in Pisa, in Siena, and at the end of his life in Reggio. By the way, he was a Talmud in Kabbalah of the Rabbach, Rabbi Yamin HaKohen, who is the Rebbe and father-in-law of Rabbi Shaya Bason, who was the Rebbe of the Ramchal. The Zera Shimshon wrote a sefer, Toldoi Shimshon, and the reason he wrote Toldoi Shimshon is because in the month of Av, his firstborn and only son passed away, and he was not zoicha to have more progeny, so his sefer was Pri Amalai, his sefer was his legacy and his continuity. The Chida brings down that he heard that the Zera Shimshon was a baki in Kabbalah Masis. Kabbalah Masis is not only the intellectual discipline, but the ability to effectuate new realities in the world through Kabbalah. And in the kever of the Zera Shimshon is not only the Zera Shimshon, but the Zera Shimshon commanded that all of his writings in Kabbalah be buried with him in his kever. So, Zechusa Yagen Oleinu, and we're already in the general area. So, if you're not going to be at the kever, you could utilize the opportunity now. And all of your tefillos that you're mispalo throughout the trip at all the kivrei tzadikim, Hashem should answer Barachim Avratzain V'yimale Hashem Kol Mashalos Libchem L'Tova.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.